Guess who's back?
Welcome back, mate.
We're back.
How was summer?
Summer was fantastic, yes. The Jervis family have grown. So
Yeah, you're a grandfather again.
Grandfather again. Little Archie Elvis has arrived.
Right. Have you missed me?
I've missed you, yeah. Although through social media now, I can see you all the time, can't I? Because I hear during your summer, if you're not on vacation or chasing cars, we're going back into politics, I hear.
Well, subject to the electorate agreeing with you, yes. Right. I've decided to help save Britain. Yeah. One town, one ward, and one county at a time. Yes.
So reform, standing for, and Mayor of Essex. Is this right? What's the?
Yeah. So the Mayor of Essex thing is very speculative. It's a new role as of May, so there'll be elections not just in Essex but across various counties. And I was. The long story short is I was a politician in my local authority, my local council up until 2015. And obviously I've spent a bit of time now, I suppose, throwing a few rocks from the sidelines as a talk and a GB presenter stroke kind of contributor. But I just think we're in such a place now as a country that we need a political revolution. And it just so happens to be reform, who I'm generally aligned with.
Citizen Smith.
No, seriously. I think I don't want to get. I know this isn't a political podcast, but look, my kind of 30 seconds on it is this: that regardless of whether you're Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, Green, or Reform, or whatever, I'm not as interested in that as I am genuine authenticity in politics, and I think that hasn't existed for a long, long time. So my pitch, I guess, in terms of my justification, is being a politician that actually gives a shit and isn't just in it as a career politician to earn a few quid and to be on the telly. I've done all that. I've earned a few quid. I've been on the telly. So as a politician, I just want to do the right thing.
Good. Well, good luck with that. I hope we won't lose you then. Does that mean we'll lose you? I'll have to get a new Russell. I have to get another Russell.
No.
How many Russells do I know that we could have on the Two Russells podcast?
I'm staying as a PR guy very much at the helm of proper PR with James. And I'll be doing this, don't you worry. So we've got to get to episode 250.
Definitely. Thank you to everyone who came to the summer party. We absolutely loved our rosé by the river, which we'll be doing again next year.
Thanks for the bar bill, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. It was a hot day, wasn't it? It was a hot day. it was a hot day. So let's move on. Our first guest in season 3, so episode 41. We're recording in his manor. This is where you heralded from. You called home here in Canning Town and Silvertown and every town. Mark Burgess, welcome to the Two Russells podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So this is where you were born, where you were brought up? This is kind of Reggie and Ronnie Cray territory, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Ronnie and Reggie Cray is a bit further up in Mile End. My dad's mum was actually best friends with Ronnie and Reggie Cray's mum. But I guess probably there's a million people out there who tell that story. I grew up in some of the nastiest parts of East London, and moved on from there, really. Russell knows because he gave me a job and I used to work around here for him.
Well, I don't know the journey, so I'm very interested to know what that journey has been. So what should we do? Should we do career first?
Yeah, let's kick off with career.
Most people know you for Iceberg Digital and obviously you being a guru of such things. We'll get onto that. But what's the career journey look like up till now?
Okay, yeah, so I wasn't exactly born with a silver spoon in my mouth or anything like that. As I say, I grew up in some of the worst parts of East London, some of the roughest places. I was involved with gangs and drugs. I was addicted to drugs from 13 for about 15 years.
Which drugs?
I mainly just smoked cannabis, but everything that you can think of, really. So I was around crack dens, heroin, all sorts of stuff. I had a sort of checkered career in terms of jobs, did random stuff because I just sort of fell out of school. And
did you make your money illicitly?
No, not really. I never really got into any of that. I had lots of friends that were in.
No, I didn't mean that. I just meant as a bit of a lad.
Gangs,
nicking.
Not really, to be honest. Like a lot of my friends did that sort of stuff. They would do all sorts of things, but I never really got into that. I fell into a estate agency reasonably young, and fell into sort of buying property. Basically, I've sort of convinced Russell or my manager to let me learn how to be a mortgage advisor and I could figure out how to buy properties without having any money and did it that way.
East Ham office.
East Ham and Canning Town and all of that sort of thing. And
Tariq Alam was your broker, wasn't he? Goodness me, I'm pulling out the
all sorts of people. But But yeah, so I tell people that story really just so that they can understand that you can turn a page on your life. When I turned the page, all sorts of crazy stuff happened for me, really. I've written 3 best-selling business books now. I've written a book around marketing, AI, and big data. I have built multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses. I've written, I've been featured on Forbes.com as one of the entrepreneurs in the world, making a difference. I've had a TV show on Sky giving tips to entrepreneurs. We had a crazy turnaround, really, to be honest, because...
What was the catalyst? You talk about turning the page. What was that specifically? Was it one thing that made you wake up one day and say, shit, I can't do this?
Weirdly, I guess it might seem obvious, but breaking addictions... Not just to drugs, like, you're addicted to all sorts of weird things.
Yeah, if you're an
life.
addictive personality,
you
get addicted to
and starting
stuff.
to understand how that works, sent me off on a path of starting to get interested on how the brain works and all sorts of stuff. And looking back now, it wasn't like a switch went off and all of a sudden it changed. But looking back now, that
you
would
probably didn't know at the time that's what was happening.
No, that would probably be the main thing, because even when I was like permanently high, I felt like I was performing at the top of my game. I was still buying and selling properties and making money and doing all sorts of stuff. It's only in hindsight that you look back, like recently I've lost some weight and I feel like I'm performing better, but I didn't feel like I was performing badly before.
Yeah.
So it's not like it just sort of, it's not like something happened and then it was like, oh yeah, that was the catalyst. But looking back now, starting to understand how addictions work and how to break them.
Did you feel that you were a slave to the addictions, and because you might be a bit of a control freak like me, you think, I don't want to be controlled by addiction anymore?
I don't think I ever thought I was addicted.
You could take it or leave it.
Yeah, I just felt like I enjoyed it. That was my kind of excuse. I'm not really addicted. I just enjoy it. Life would be boring without this.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how every addiction works, right?
Yeah.
And so then you start looking into like, your brain doesn't actually know what this thing is. It's just looking for a certain hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
You could give it the hit of dopamine in something less destructive if you wanted. And if you start getting addicted to those things, then all of a sudden your life takes a different path.
Like the success of the deal versus the hit from taking drugs.
Right? Yeah. The building of a business, or even if it was like I recently started ballroom dancing with my wife. I've got
things I don't think I'm going to hear on a podcast. Okay?
I've got no interest in it, but it's enjoyable and it does weirdly give you this little hit of dopamine. And while you're doing it, you're having fun with your wife, and it's much better than if I had decided, I don't know, I'm going to go upstairs and play the PlayStation or do something else to escape. You've got the choice. Like, your brain doesn't know.
Are you maybe an individual that likes to be challenged though? So that you set yourself a task and say, right, that looks difficult. That's something I don't know anything about. I'll try and do that because it's a tick.
I don't know I don't think it was that. I had no interest in doing it. I just knew that I'd laugh and it would be fun, and my brain would go, we should carry on doing that.
Wife said,
strictly on a Saturday night, I can do that.
I have mentors, I have therapists, I have everything to try and keep me on track. And one of them said to me, like, you should try dancing with your wife. And I was like, that's not really our thing. And he was like, just try it. And I thought, all right.
Okay.
And like I say, it's not about the dancing. It's not about the drugs. It's not about the PlayStation. It's not about TikTok. It's about your brain going, you do this thing when you're not feeling great and it makes you feel better. Yeah. And if the things that it's telling you to do are not destructive, then all of a sudden life gets better for you.
You can take yourself out of a place where you're doing things that make you feel good that are destructive. And you can condition your brain to do things that make you feel good that aren't destructive. Yeah. That's what you've done. That's the paradigm shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But that makes it sound very easy. It's not, is it?
It's not easy. Actually, it is easy, but it's not easy to believe that it's easy. So any addictions that I've had in the past, most people say you've got to break those with willpower. You've got to want to quit more than you want to do this thing. You've got to do, and that's never worked for me. For me, it's just been about trying to understand, like, why'd you do this thing? Because there's always a point whereby you regret the fact that you did this thing.
Yeah.
Why'd you do it?
Yeah.
And if the
what
more
you're searching for,
the more you dig into it, and it's annoying, but the more that you dig into it, once you suddenly get the light, like when I stopped smoking drugs, I stopped instantly. Like there was no slowing down. There was no craving.
So it's
No
cold
There was
substitutes,
no willpower at all. It was just like I just stopped
switch.
immediately.
Yeah.
And left my drugs and left my cigarettes and never had a craving
Never gone
again.
back?
Never went back. Never had a craving. Never. And I've done that with multiple addictions. And so yeah, I think it's more just about, for me anyway, understanding that, you know, your brain doesn't know whether it's drugs or sex or porn or PlayStation or TikTok. It doesn't know.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get a hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
So if you got it somewhere else, it'd be over it.
So do you think you can be addicted to being, for instance, an entrepreneur and addicted to money?
You can be addicted to anything. Anything that
Or
you...
would you see that as good? I mean, bearing in mind you work for yourself.
Well, I suppose it depends on how you make money, doesn't it? You know, if you make money by doing good for people, then I guess it would work out good.
Yeah.
But any addiction, I guess, can end up being bad. Like they say, you know, too much of anything is not great for you, I guess. I guess it depends how much of your life it affects and who loses out of this deal.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of my addictions have been things whereby I just thought that I enjoyed those things and I wasn't hurting anybody. But when I took a bit of a bigger look around,
You were.
people were suffering.
Yeah. Or family.
Yeah.
So go back, when you moved out of estate agency, mortgage services and started buying and selling property, you still hadn't figured out the path of what sort of business you wanted to run and own and the books you wanted to write. So when did that start coming together for you?
When I look back, I don't think to myself, you know, lots of entrepreneurs tell the story about how they sold lemonade when they were little and washed cars.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had any of that stuff. Weirdly, like I remember sitting down with one of my good friends when we first got into estate agency and we were going, you know, people buy properties and they rent them out and they keep the rent. And we didn't even realise that you had to
what
pay a
happened.
mortgage. Right? We were literally just sitting there going like, that's it. Like you get all the rent.
And the house.
The house.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't ever think that I was particularly switched on to that. But I did quickly start seeing that I was very good at inventing money. So starting to realise that money doesn't actually exist. It only exists on paper.
Yeah.
And if you can move it around on paper, you don't actually need the physical version of it. I think I learnt that in Canning Town and in East Ham because it was the first time that I'd see someone walk into the shop and I'd sell them a house for 50 grand and 3 months later they'd come back and painted it magnolia and I was selling it for 75 grand. And it was like, this person just invented, they just made 15 grand. In fact, I just made them 15 grand and it looks like they just painted the house. Maybe there's a bit more to it than that, but you know, back then there wasn't really. And that was the first time that I'd gone through school thinking I didn't like education. And then I'd realised actually I really like
Learning and
self-development.
But just something else.
But just
not Pythagoras.
Yeah.
Out of a house from the margin.
Exactly. I don't want to know how to work out the circumference of a cone.
Yeah.
I want to know how to make 15 grand in 2 months.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my salary is nothing like that. So
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty East End, I have to say.
Salary
In a very good way.
Salary was fantastic at the time.
Yeah, I
10K
think-
basic,
yeah,
5%. Come on.
I would have dreamed of 10K at the time. But to be honest, like, you know, I was just appreciative of the job. You know, when I went for the interview, I went for an interview with Mark Harris.
Yeah.
And I'd got a suit out of Burton's and like, you know, gone down to this interview and I was so nervous and come out and he'd said like, you know, yeah, we'll give you a job. I've just got to, you know, pick the right branch for you. And I thought I'd done so well. I didn't realise at the time that like Spicer McCall was growing at such rate that, you know, the qualification was like a heartbeat.
Interview.
Can you
A heartbeat,
Can you
please.
speak?
Yeah.
Burton suit. That was the qualification.
Yeah, absolutely. But that group at the time that you employed around East London across, you know, Sanjay and Bradley and Wayne and all those people, like they've all gone on to
do great
entrepreneurial
things.
stuff, you know. So there was some spirit in there, I think, that helped me.
Yeah.
Not the salary, but the spirit.
Not salary.
Yeah.
No. And do you come from an entrepreneurial background?
No, not at all.
Not at all. So there's nothing
not
in
at all. My
in your DNA that says that you should be doing your own thing.
No. I've always been a bit annoying like that in the sense that, like, you know, if you tell me there's no way you could possibly do this, even as a child, I'd have gone, I reckon I probably could.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, I reckon I probably could. So I had that annoying trait. I think that's why I didn't get on at school and why a lot of people don't get on at school, you know, because the teachers, they like to say that there's a specific way of doing everything. And if you've got a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, you go, well,
We'll challenge that.
I do believe in the outcome, but I think I could get there a better way. And the teacher goes, well, I don't want you to get there a better way. Just do it like this. And that's where the conflict starts.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I liked about the idea that I was seeing people just invent their own way of making money. And I'd look at that and go, I could figure that out.
But you're a classic entrepreneur.
I guess
With
I
a
am.
goal,
Yeah.
which is, and not necessarily money for money's sake, but for the sake of, I don't know, comfort, security. Sometimes it's a badge of honour. You know, I remember saying to a billionaire once, some years ago, who I was absolutely in awe of, the fact this guy was actually worth £1 billion. Someone I did business with, one of my old investors actually, who lost some money before everybody else says it. And I said, what's next? And he said, he looked at me as if I was a complete fucking idiot. He just went, 2 billion, obviously. And I thought, wow, this isn't about the money. This isn't about making sure there's enough butter and milk in the fridge.
And where
This is about, and actually there was another analogy that James Caan gave me, which was about boats and yachts, which is someone will always have a bigger yacht.
one.
Yeah.
There's always an Abramovich. He said, but the likes of, whoever, Cook and Gates and Zuckerberg, they do genuinely ring up their yacht broker and say, I've just seen a yacht in the Monaco harbour that's
bigger than mine.
400 metres long. I need mine to be 410. I mean, so the badge of honour, I think, is a bit pathetic. But there are people that are driven just by that goal.
Yeah, I guess. For me, most of the entrepreneurs I've ever met, and I think I fall into this category, it's about freedom. It's about you can't tell me what to do. I'll do it myself.
Do you think most of us are unemployable?
Yes. I mean, when the last job I was employed in, I did IT recruitment in the city in the .com boom, and it was like a trading floor of recruitment consultants near Liverpool Street. They had a big board up that showed how many phone calls you'd made, how many emails you sent, and every day I was bottom of that list, and every month I was miles ahead of anybody in terms of the billing. Like I'd bill like 40 grand a month, the next closest would bill 10.
Right.
And they couldn't handle it because they were like, you're ruining the whole fucking system.
You're not following the process. Yeah.
Everyone's asking
Everything
you
we're
what to
teaching,
do, and we're telling them to do the opposite of what you're doing.
It's like that Wolf of Wall Street
And
thing
so,
when he's
yeah.
selling penny shares.
And I was saying to them, I don't know what to say to you. You employed me to do this. I've got a way of doing it.
Yeah.
And
I've found a route that's a different way.
They'd said, go for all the small companies because there's a .com boom. Everybody needs this website. Everybody needs people. Don't go for the big companies. It's too... And I thought, I'll go for the big companies. And somehow I'd managed to get in with Sony and Microsoft. And so I wasn't doing much. I was just firing them CVs that I didn't understand. Like going, you said you wanted PHP developers. These have all got PHP written on their CV. Have a look. And they'd come back and go, yeah, we'll interview 7 of them.
Yeah.
So you leave property, IT and web and development, and you would say that Iceberg now is not a property-related company, but it's a tech company. But you kept coming back to thinking, how can I fix this estate agency world? So what was the drug and the draw back to the addiction of estate agency and property?
I don't know. I mean, you guys will see it the same way as me, I guess. Like, there's just something about estate agency that stays with you. Like, I left estate agency and went to mortgage advice, but only to learn how to buy properties. I didn't like being a mortgage advisor because there's too much compliance and all that stuff. You can't actually give advice. So I preferred being an estate agent. And then I went to IT recruitment because the money was phenomenal, but it's a horrible job, because
stuff, right?
you're just like, you don't care about anybody. Estate agency was nice. And then I decided I was going to start a portal because I'd gone into the city and portals were just starting. There was no Rightmove at this point. Asserta Homes was the biggest portal at the time. And what I'd seen in the city was that we were all searching for applicants online. And then I just left a job whereby we had applicant boxes. And I was like, I can build a portal whereby all the applicants just register here. Then there's no need for high street estate agency. Yeah. So I built a portal that did that basically. And I ran a trial in Manchester and it went pretty well. But then a few other portals came into the market, Rightmove being one of them. They weren't the biggest at the time, but others were entering the market. And it was going to be all about how much money you had, basically.
It was about consumer eyeballs.
Yeah. And we sort of, me and my business partner thought to ourselves, again, we was naive and young. We thought, how can we convince all the estate agents to use our portal? Because now they're getting all these phone calls from different portals. And We were like, well, how does the rest of the world do it? And going back to politics, we were like, well, they control the newspapers. So we decided we'd start a publishing company. So we made a publishing company and we started producing trade media for estate agents. And we didn't care about making money from it. So we just did outrageous things in there. Crazy outrageous things, like we would do Mickey Mouse awards where we'd dress up as Mickey Mouse and go into the worst estate agent and give them some award and all kinds of crazy stuff. And the magazines all took off, and that eventually started to become a business in its own right, whereby we now
an accidental business.
Yeah, we were sort of like, forget the portal, we'll carry on with this publishing business. So we had a publishing business and we made lots of different magazines for different sectors. And then when we got around to about 2005, 6, I was saying, we need to go digital. This is not going to stay this way. And they didn't agree with me. So we parted company. I started Iceberg Digital in 2009 was when it technically first made its first pound, but obviously I'd started it a few years before to build the technology. And all my contacts were in a estate agency now because I'd done trade magazines and all sorts of stuff. So I just went back to them and said, look, I've had a think about this, and Foxtons have got this big fat magazine that they take, and they only do it to win instructions. No one reads it, but it costs too much for you to do as a small independent. I've built some technology whereby, like, I can make you a magazine like that's got David Beckham on the front cover. It's got all your properties on it. It'll cost you 250 quid a month. We'll send it out to your database so you can go on an instruction and say, look, we make a magazine that goes out to 10,000 people. Yeah. This is the last one with David Beckham on, and it will just look great. And I just rolled into technology from there, really, and stayed in the estate agency.
When you say we, so you're very much out there and the front of the business. So you were taking on partners this time? It was a joint venture?
No, I mean, Iceberg, I'm co-founder of Iceberg with my wife, Hayley. Mm-hmm. But the publishing business, I had business partners in the publishing business, but Iceberg I kind of solely own with my wife.
So how has Iceberg evolved?
So we had this system that made digital magazines, and we actually grew it to be the largest publisher of magazines in the UK among any publisher, because we had so many estate agents making magazines. We were making more magazines than anybody, all digitally. Around about 2011, 12. At this point, I would say I wouldn't class myself as being a very knowledgeable entrepreneur. I was just trying to make some money. I was just trying to make more money this month than I made last month. I didn't have any structure to the business. As we'd grown it with salespeople and staff, they were just doing what I used to do.
And no real goal?
No real goal, no, to be honest.
Just kind of this.
Just keep going, head down.
I want it to be successful today. It's kind of almost hand to mouth.
Yeah, really. Absolutely. Yeah. It was the first time I'd really discovered the power of reoccurring revenue, which is a massive thing, I think, in my business journey. Probably the only thing that I've really drilled into my kids as they've grown up is the power of monthly reoccurring revenue. But
subscription models.
But that business was moving along, and it was just a traditional business where our salespeople would make calls to estate agents. And one day I sort of sat there and thought to myself, there's got to be a better way of doing this. My salespeople, I rely on mavericks. Mm-hmm. This guy's good, that guy's crap. I don't know why that guy doesn't do it more like that guy, but no one really knows what this guy does. A bit like when I was in the IT recruitment. Yeah.
Kind of a mix of kind of personality and boldness or whatever.
And I'd think, my best sales guy, he's had so many calls over the years. What's even happening with those people? The ones that we gave up on 3 months ago, what's happened to them? And this was about 2011, 12, and I started to think to myself, there must be a system for this. There must be a way of me being able to stay in touch with these people. It seems normal now, but it wasn't that normal back then. The iPhone had been around only 4 years. Yeah. And so I started looking into it, and I contacted Salesforce because they were the main CRM at the time for, software companies and stuff. Said, have you got anything like this? They were like, no, we don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, okay. And I sort of gave up a little bit. And then a couple of months later, the guy from Salesforce called me back and said, we've just bought this company called Pardot, and I think it does what you're talking about, but I don't really understand it. But you might want to have a chat with them. So I spoke to this guy at Pardot, and I had this system that would monitor who was coming back, who was on your website.
Okay.
That's pretty much all it did. It sent a few emails, and I was like, okay, I'll try this. So I took Salesforce and Pardot, and it was really clunky. It was really expensive, and it was really difficult to do. For a small business, I was probably paying out £5,000-6,000 a month just to run these two systems. And eventually, I started to build my own development team now for the digital magazine business, and one of them was a Turkish guy who had married an English woman. And I said to him, like, can we not just get some developers in Turkey? I want to build my own software. And he was like, well, actually, yeah, where I come from in Turkey, my family's really well known. Like, my dad's a politician, my wife runs this thing, and like, you know, I know all the people there, so we could set it up. So we went to Turkey, we set up a company over there, got developers.
I love it, Mark, because you're just like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's do this.
And I built the system just for myself, whereby like I could start to now really see who in my big database is interacting with our website. And after a call, I want this automation to happen. Very basic stuff it was back then. It was just like, I don't want to leave this to chance. I want to know that this happens. Yep. And we started to do that.
Take out the human error.
Yeah, we started to do that. And I also started to get more into, you know, a few years were passing. I started to get more into the idea of content marketing and how that worked. So I was really digging into Facebook and Facebook ads and how, you know, you do this process called 7-11-4 on somebody, which I can explain if you need me to. And all of a sudden, we went from getting no leads and doing all outbound sales to getting a lead every day. Every single day we would get a lead and we would convert 50% of them. And all of a sudden, I didn't need a sales team. My sales team, we got rid of the sales team. We had no outbound sales whatsoever. This company just started going through the roof.
Coming to you.
Yeah, we just rocketed past $1 million in revenue, and it was like, this is mental. And then I looked across at estate agency, and my business was this digital magazines, and I went, no one's going to want digital magazines much longer. Like, what's the point of it?
Yeah.
You can do it on a phone, but it's clunky.
It's basically a website.
It's easier to read a blog, right? So I gave my digital magazine business away pretty much to the people that were doing the work. I said, you can have it. And we also had a bit of a social media business that I gave away. And I said, let's build this software for estate agents. They're going to need this, because if they don't have this, a giant's going to come along with it, and the everyday work that estate agents are doing, they won't be able to keep up with a company that knows this stuff. It knows who's looking at properties. It knows who wants to sell.
It knows that your 3-year-old valuation is currently on your website.
Exactly. And we started this 10 years ago now, started building that software. We launched the first version of it probably 2018, which was a sort of stuck together version. And then 2020, we brought out Lifecycle, which is the real version. And we're still trying to, convince agents that they need to work.
How much time were you spending out in Turkey? Because it was before the day of Zooms and Teams. It's pre-COVID, isn't it? So we weren't used to that sort of thing. So
we were using Skype.
Right.
We were using Skype a lot.
What happened to Skype?
Yeah.
A lot of trust as well. Because I listened to a podcast with you on it saying that one of the problems you found with your teams was that you just ended up finishing all their jobs for them, which is why when you brought Hayley in, it was like, what do you mean you've done that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can tell that story if you want. Like, as I say, when I first grew the company, people were just an extension of my hands. So I'd tell them how they do sales. I'd tell them how they do admin. I'd tell them how they do this. I'd tell them. And so inevitably, a bit like your kids, they come to you and say, like, I've got this problem. How do I solve it? And I kind of felt like, and I think it was a carryover from my estate agency days, that the leader is supposed to have all the answers. You know, like the branch manager, they know everything.
Yeah, so I go to think because it's lazy to do so.
Yeah. And so I sort of assumed that role, like this is what I'm supposed to be. And I tell everybody the answers and all that sort of stuff. And then Hayley, obviously, she'd got a bit more involved in the business, and she'd worked for big corporations. She'd worked like, assistant head of global legal for big banks and far bigger companies than my company. And I gave her a project to work on, and a few weeks later, I remembered I'd given it to her, and I was like, "Oh, what happened with that project?" She was like, "Yeah, so I've completed it all." I was like,
up and running.
"Oh, but you never showed me any of it." She was like, "Oh, okay, like here's all the information."
I've done it.
Yeah, and I went, "Oh, see, I wouldn't have done it like that." She was like, "No, well, why don't you fucking do it yourself then?" and I suddenly thought, everybody in the company must feel this way. And if they don't feel that way, that's a problem for me as well, because actually, and I just,
well, it's not scalable.
Yeah. And I just started to switch, and I started to do more research, and I started to I fell into a group of entrepreneurs who had all built £100 million businesses, and all of these things came at the same time where I started to learn.
They started teaching you self-reflection.
You started to learn, like, hold on a minute, like, you're my head of customer experience. This is your fucking problem.
Get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you told me, like, I don't know what to do, it's like, well, are you asking me just as a friend for some advice?
Otherwise, all I need is a load of admin people.
Yeah. It's like, so I started to relinquish it, and then working across different continents became a lot easier because you could say to somebody, look, this is the end objective.
Yep.
And you need to continually be questioning me on it because I'm probably not right about that end objective. So don't treat me like I'm some sort of boss that you can't challenge.
Yeah.
But I think this is the end objective. Unless you see any problems along the way, knock yourself out and make me the thing that works. You know, and your challenges along the way. You find different people that can deal with that and people that can't. But I think that's a big learning for me. Yeah.
Would you say so? Life cycle, particularly, is it lead nurture? Would you describe it as that?
I'd say that's part of it, but the bigger part of it is back in about 2002. Procter & Gamble did this study about why do people buy certain products, and back then it was all about the positioning on the shelf in the supermarket and the branding and the way the packet
cards were,
all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they called it the first moment of truth. So how do you know if your marketing's working? The first moment of truth is whether someone takes it off the shelf. The second moment of truth being when they get home, are they happy and do they buy again, or do they go somewhere else? And that's how all marketing was measured for, the next 9 years. And then in 2011, Google came along and said, there's a zero moment of truth now because people are doing research before they go to the shop because now the internet exists. And they teamed up with some universities to look at how that works, and they found that there's this thing called 7-11-4. You have to spend 7 hours with a brand or a person, have 11 touch points, and see it in 4 different locations, and then a part of the brain opens called the hippocampus, whereby it moves into that know, like, trust side.
Yeah, it validates it.
And you still convince yourself in a logical way, but you know you're going to buy this thing. Yeah. You do a spreadsheet to prove you know if I save a bit of money, you know you're getting it.
Yeah.
And so our whole concept that we started ourselves and then tried to bring to estate agents was like 7-11-4. You need to be 7-11-4ing people. You're leaving it too late. You're going on a valuation to try and win it, but you should be going there, and it's up to you not to fuck it up.
Lose it because they've changed you.
Yeah. And you're making lots of phone calls, but the technology can tell you who to call. So estate agents often say things like, yeah, but it's a people business. We don't want technology to do this and this. And I agree with all of that. But you don't need, what I'm saying is you don't need to make 100 phone calls to find the person. Going back to my IT recruitment days, it's a bit like that. Like if I can just find the
PHPs.
3 people that want to instruct me, I only need to make 3 phone calls. I can do something else valuable as well. Most agents are making 100 calls, getting 97 voicemails, getting through to 3. The 4th one that they didn't call was the one that they really needed. So it's, I wouldn't say it's a nurture system. I would say we're now sort of at the stage where Iceberg has got so many different AI tools that combine into one ecosystem. I would say it's more of an AI operating system for estate agents. But that's a lot for them to think about because they've got a way of doing it.
I was going to say, because estate agents are not famous for adopting technology.
No.
In fact, as we're recording this today, I think Inventory Base have come out with some research that says 55% of estate agents don't use prop tech, don't want to use prop tech. So as quite an advanced technology product, have you not found a real obstacle to adoption? Is that your biggest issue?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Where they just don't get it or don't think they need it. Don't think
they could do it better.
Yeah, I think it was funny because someone called me up the other day for some advice. They're just about to launch some prop tech, and they wanted to show me and get some advice. And I was trying to help them out, and I was just running through how they're going to sell it and all that sort of stuff. And they said the stuff that I would have probably said in the beginning. There's 20,000 estate agents out there. If we can do this,
yeah.
And I said it's not going to happen. And they were like, "Why?" I was like, "There's not 20,000 estate agents. Like, there's 20,000 branches,
but few decision makers.
But yeah, you're talking about selling to countrywide in that 20,000. Like, you've got a product for small independents. There's maybe 5,000, and like about 4,000 of them are not on social media. So you're saying you're going to run ads and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're going to get some traction. You'll get traction. You'll get traction with the low hanging fruit. the 50 or 60 that you see at every event,
The early adopters.
the ones that are out there looking for what you're about to give, they're waiting for it. And after that, you're fucked. And yeah, I would say that's a challenge. And it's been a difficult one because as a business, we could pivot to being something a bit more basic. We could just do, your traditional
A to B to
CRM
C, yeah.
and go, look, this is what you use at the moment. It's just a bit better. But that just doesn't fire me up. I don't care about that. So going back to the whole why you're an entrepreneur thing, I don't know. I believe in this, genuinely believe that the businesses that don't do this are going out of business.
Well, because they're leaving so much money on the table.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember months ago I saw you stand on a stage round the corner from here talking about Uzair 2.0.
Yeah, 2.0.
2.0. And I left that room genuinely thinking, if people are not on this party, they are getting left way behind.
And the thing is like people say
that's out there now.
Yeah,
'Cause July was the
Uzair's out there now. Yeah,
okay.
Uzair lives
doing what you want Uzair to do.
Yeah, I mean it would just continue to grow and grow and grow, but it's pretty crazy the stuff that it does. But it's estate agents. They feel like now the market's not really changing, but having been in it for so long, and you guys been in it for so long, you can see it does change. Lots of people do go out of business. New ones come, and old ones go, and that happens every year. Every year people go out of business, and that gap is just getting bigger and bigger between the ones that are still working how I was in East Ham and the ones that are just, they don't have to do much because the technology brings them. They have to close the deal. They have to do the human bit.
Well, you're going to say because it's not a replacement. So there's never going to be a replacement for someone in the lounge to negotiate fee or to talk about an optimal valuation strategy or whatever. You're never going to replace someone needing a shoulder to cry on because the husband's just walked out and the sale's fallen through, or because the buyer at the top of the chain has decided he's pulled out. But there's no technology that deals with that, right? No. So it's always going to be a people business. I think what we need to get our heads around as an industry is that technology can do an awful lot of the heavy lifting, particularly I think when it comes to leads. I mean, when you think about how many leads come out of Rightmove are always gobbing off about, look at all the leads we give you. Now, okay, I would argue 98% of them are shit. They're 4 o'clock in the morning, pissed people saying, oh, I'd like to buy that £8 million house if I win the lottery. Kind of worthless, but the bigger picture surely is that if there's...
I don't see that, by the way. In the agents I deal with, I think the people that are on there are looking for properties,
I'm using extremes as an example, right? So I absolutely believe that of all the data that exists in the estate agency sphere, so potential sellers, valuations, inquiries, and particularly buyers and buyers that then become sellers, there's gold in that, right? And whether it's tomorrow, and the other thing is as estate agents, I remember when I had branch offices, the managers and the negs were really on the inquiry that came in on a Monday, that they talked to and booked a valuation for Thursday. They went round, they valued it, they followed it up even. We were good at that, right? It would come on the market 55, 60% of the time on the Friday or the Saturday. If it didn't, gone, forgotten. So the gold is in all of that. And we as an industry, and I know you're, again, trying to be the antithesis of this, and so are agents like Foxton's actually, who are very, very good with their data. But the data that is not
mined,
nurtured, farmed, whatever you want to call it.
Because agents are still new business junkies in a lot of it, aren't they?
I bet we have Christopher Watkin here now, where he talks about 50% of homes don't sell, that go on the market. Okay, fine. But what about the stuff that you valued and you've never gone back to? What about your sellers and buyers that transacted with you 8 or 9 years ago? What about the person that said they might have a valuation, never did? By being fairly cute about content and advice and guidance and so on, you can have what I guess we would call an unfair advantage over that technology.
Absolutely. There's a saying that I quote quite a lot from I can't remember his name, but the guy who started the 4 Seasons to systemize the predictable so that you can humanize the exceptional. And that's what, I'm not doing anything that I didn't do, that we wasn't taught in a estate agency in the 90s. We were taught this stuff. I've just made a software that makes it happen. What happens in a estate agency is they just don't do it. In the US,
they're all over this. They have what they call outside sales agents, something like that, where they spend their lives just nurturing data, people from 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago or whatever, warming them up, finding the point at which they start to respond, whether it's a text message that they click on, whether it's a link that they click on or a website visit or whatever, and then they get on the phone and start nurturing that person into an appraisal appointment and so on. So they're not leaving any money on the table, but they've professionalised estate agency. I think we've got in the UK an awful long way to go before we get to that.
I'll just give you a very, very basic example of one of the things that Life Cycle does, and it should make more sense to people. So imagine that in your area there's a really nice estate called the Kingswood Estate, for instance, right? And it's not a real kind of postcode or anything, but as an agent, everybody knows this Kingswood Estate exists, and you'd love listings there. So imagine you go and film a video of you walking around the Kingswood Estate, and you say, like, anyone who happens to be selling a property in the Kingswood Estate, this is a bit of a long shot, but we've got buyers looking, we've sold that one over there, blah, 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 right? Now, an estate agent might just put that video out on social media. But the way it works in Life Cycle is that you can set it up so that when your portal inquiries come in, the system is automatically going back to them and qualifying them. And when it's qualifying them, it's finding out if they've got a property to sell. And it's already got their address. And because in Life Cycle you can say, what is the Kingswood Estate? It knows it's in the Kingswood Estate. And so it knows in a couple of days to send that person an email of you going, look, this is a bit of a long shot. If there's anybody out there. And then it tracks who's watching stuff and who's on your website. So the staff member doesn't even have to do anything. They're sitting there in the morning and it pops up and goes, you might want to talk to John Smith. He's just been reading what to do if you're looking at about selling a house. It's easy. It's so easy.
Yeah, well, you say it's easy, but how many agents are using Life Cycle as a percentage of all the agents in the UK?
It's a tiny fraction. Okay. We've got probably 150 brands that use us. Probably somewhere between 400, 500 branches.
Okay.
And what we're saying that in total in the UK, maybe there's
19,000 branches.
So, it's a fraction.
Yeah. Mark, can I go back to you? Because when social media started exploding a little bit, you were a very early adopter. You developed your personal brand as well that you've continued with. And I'm going to say that you were quite animated, almost angry, frustrated. You seem to have calmed a lot. Have you just come to terms with the fact that I've got this great product, and if you lot can continue to ignore me, then you're going to get left behind? Where are you in your head and space at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I think I guess you just get more comfortable with being on camera. Maybe in the beginning you got to get yourself ready and get worked up and get into this. And after a while, you get more comfortable with all of that sort of stuff. So that's probably part of it. As you say, age, when I first started that, we're talking 10 years ago, I just turned 50. So I would have just turned 40. And I guess you just mellow because I was probably that person who came to see me for advice on launching prop tech, where I'm like, I'm going to get everybody's got to listen to this. And now I'm like, you don't have to listen to it. Yeah. I've got a company. I'm quite happy. I've got lovely agents that work with me. I know it sounds too good to be true, but you can talk to the guy if you want. I've got a guy, I've got loads of them, but I've got a guy that I'm thinking of off the top of my head who had a one branch estate agency and he was turning over £150,000. And now he's still got a one branch estate agency, and at that same branch he turns over £700,000. And he'll talk to you about it if you want.
And he'll put it down.
I'm quite happy. You don't have to do it if you don't want to.
There was a man on the bus that we left the conference that said to me, Russell, in 3 months I started getting more leads than one portal. In 6 months I started getting more leads than another portal.
It's kind of inevitable, really, isn't it?
So what's next? Do you sell it? Is there an exit?
I'm hoping you'll bring it.
Maybe. I probably get 2 emails a week from companies saying, "Do you want to sell the business?" And they're probably just speculative. I don't really, get into conversations with them. I guess everybody's got a number where you'd be crazy to stay at the roulette wheel, at a certain point. But it's not something that I'm actively seeking out. I'm excited about AI. Really excited about AI, and I know that's boring for a lot of people now because AI is in everything, and everyone's sort of over it. But the way that we built Life Cycle was either by great judgment or by complete fluke is so perfect for AI because it's one complete system that the AI can see everything that's going on. So for me, that's started to fire me up again and has made me think to myself, you know what? I think we'll probably end up taking this to different countries.
Different countries, different sectors.
Yeah.
And you got a big event coming up, Mark? Tell us about that. So, because you love getting audiences together now, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know when this is coming out. So
next Friday.
Okay, so it should be all right. So 3rd of October, we have an event called Estate Agency X. This is the 10th one. We have some good speakers there. Daniel Priestley speaks there. We've got another guy speaking there who was a former SAS person. And it's not so much about the reason we made Estate Agency X was because of the journey I went on, whereby as I said earlier, I stumbled into this group of entrepreneurs that had all built these £100 million businesses, and they were all telling me you do these 7 or 8 steps, and then the company just works and you sell it for £100 million. And it was like, shit, what have I been doing all this time? And so we started Estate Agency X to try and bring some of that to estate agency, bring some of those speakers in. This isn't about how to book viewings or how to talk to vendors or how to get your fees up. It's about generally how you run a business, leadership, the systems, the processes. We had people there that spent 27 years building systems at McDonald's, and it's nothing to do with estate agency. It's just, this is how it works. So yeah, we do that on the 3rd of October at Liverpool Street. Tickets are pretty much sold out now. I think I was asking just before I came in here, I think there was about 3 or 4 left. So by the time this comes out, they'll probably be sold out. Probably, yeah, I would imagine so. But we do it every year. Yeah. So we do that one, and we also do the one that you was talking about earlier in the year, the Iceberg Summit. We do at the start of the year, which is more about iceberg products, and Well,
that was a very cool presentation, cool everything. Blew my mind. So congratulations, it was fantastic.
Well, look, this has been fascinating. Great to hear your journey. And look, from humble beginnings, right?
Yeah.
And no stopping you yet, by the sounds of it.
How much has this place changed? Canning Town. Oh my God.
I was just saying to you when I came in, the thing I loved about it is that they've clearly spent millions building this road, so you just don't have to go through Canning Town. You just avoid it.
We just missed it. We just missed it. Mark, thank you so much for giving up your time. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Fantastic to see you. That's it. Episode 41. 2 more to come in this run, and then we move to October filming. We've got some great guests lined up, and as Russell will tell you, if you've got a story to tell, get in touch with either of us, and we will welcome you to East London to talk about your story. But for now, if you wouldn't mind, please like, comment and subscribe so we can keep pumping this out to the world and the podcast. But all there is for me to say is it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.